My daughter's husband thought he could sell my land behind my back. He never saw the second deed. The day I found out what my son-in-law had done, I felt something inside me freeze. Not anger. Not fear. Something colder. Something sharper. It started when my friend from town called me, whispering urgently, "Did you really put your land up for sale?" I almost dropped the phone. "What?" I asked. "Who told you that?" She sent me a picture she saw online. My land, my father's land, listed for sale by a man whose name I knew too well. My son-in-law, grinning like he had just won a jackpot. I sat down slowly, the room spinning. He thought I was weak because I had health problems last year. He thought I didn't check paperwork anymore. He thought I trusted him completely. And maybe I did, until now. But what he didn't know, what he could never imagine, was that the land he was trying to sell was not the only property. There was a second deed. A hidden one. Signed only by me. My late husband used to say, "Always keep one piece of the truth to yourself." That day, his advice became my weapon. And I was ready to use it. I drove straight to my daughter's house, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. When she opened the door, I knew instantly she didn't know. Her eyes were calm, innocent, almost confused. "Mama, what's wrong?" she asked. I stepped inside. "Where is he?" She blinked. "He's in the living room." I walked past her, each step steady even though my heart was beating out of rhythm. My son-in-law looked up from his phone, smiling like always. "Mama. What brings you here?" He didn't even try to hide it. I held up my phone showing the land listing. "Explain this." His smile faded slowly, like he didn't expect me to already know. "Oh, that," he said casually. "I thought selling the land would help us all." "Your health is not great, Mama. You don't need the stress of managing property." I stared at him. Calm. Cold. "And who gave you permission?" He shrugged. "We're family. What's yours is ours. I just handled it for you." My daughter gasped softly. She still believed him. But I didn't. "Not anymore." "You handled nothing," I said. "And you're about to learn why." He tried to laugh it off at first, like I was making noise over nothing. "Mama, you're overreacting. It's just land. Just land. The same land I inherited from my parents. The same land I planned to pass to my daughter. The same land he thought he could steal with a smile and a signature." "You forged my consent," I said quietly. "No," he replied too quickly. I only signed because I thought you wouldn't mind." My daughter looked between us, confused and slowly breaking. "Wait, signed what? What did you do?" He shot her a warning look. "Don't start." I stepped forward. He used my medical condition as an excuse. He thought I was too tired to read paperwork. But the funny thing is, I paused, watching his face tighten. He didn't know there were two deeds. He froze. Completely. "Two?" my daughter whispered. I nodded. "One public. One private. The private deed is the valid one. The one that has my signature, and mine alone." He swallowed hard. The mask was starting to crack. "You cheated," he muttered. "No," I said. "You did. And now it's my turn." My daughter sat down slowly, trembling. "Why would you do this?" she asked him. "Why would you sell Mama's land without even asking?" He sighed loudly, annoyed. "Because we need money. Because your mother holds on to everything like a treasure chest. We're struggling and she just sits on land she doesn't use." "Struggling?" I repeated. "You drive a new car. You travel with your friends. You spend as if the world belongs to you." He pointed at me angrily. "That land is wasted on you. I laughed, a short, cold laugh I didn't expect. You think landowners are stupid? You think elderly means helpless? He opened his mouth but stopped when I pulled out a folder from my bag. What's that? He asked, voice shaking. The real deed, I said. The one my husband and I signed before he died. The one you never knew existed. He reached for it, but I pulled it back. Not for you. My daughter covered her face, crying softly. Mama, what happens now? I placed the folder on my lap. Now, I said calmly, I take back everything he tried to steal. When I left their house, I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I didn't feel weak. I felt powerful. And that scared him. The next morning, my lawyer called me. Someone tried to access your land documents, he said. Do you know who? I do, I answered. My lawyer sighed. Your son-in-law came here asking questions. He wanted to see the old deed. Did you show him anything? Of course not, he replied. But he's desperate. That word made me sit straighter. Desperate people make reckless choices. Reckless choices lead to trouble. Trouble leads to destruction. And destruction, well, I was ready for it. I told my lawyer everything, the attempt to sell the land, the forged listing, the lies. He asked, do you want to press charges? I thought about my daughter's face, pale and shocked. Not yet, I said. But keep everything ready. When I hung up, I stared at the second deed on my table. The one my husband insisted we keep private. One day, he used to say, you will need this to protect yourself. That day had come. And I wasn't done fighting. 2 days later, I was watering the small garden behind my house when I heard a car door slam. I turned and saw my son-in-law walking toward me, trying to wear a smile that didn't fit his face. Mama, we need to talk, he said. I didn't invite him inside. I didn't even put down the watering can. Talk. He cleared his throat. I think we both acted out of emotion. Maybe we can fix this quietly. No need to involve lawyers. I stared at him. You listed my property for sale. He raised his hands. And I admit it. I admit I rushed. I should have asked. But we're family. I thought you'd support us. The word us made my chest tighten. He didn't mean family. He meant himself. The land is not yours, I said. It was never yours to touch. His eyes hardened. Mama, let's be reasonable. I am, I said. You're the one who panicked when you realized there was a second deed. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he muttered, you think you're smarter than everyone. I turned off the hose. No. I just pay attention. That evening, my daughter came to see me alone. Her eyes were swollen. Mama, she whispered, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I pulled her into my arms, and for the first time since this problem started, I felt my heart soften. I know, I said. This is not your doing. She sat down, wiping tears. He keeps saying you're planning to ruin us. I sat across from her. I'm not ruining anyone. I'm protecting what your father and I built. She looked down. But he said you don't need the land anymore. That you're old, that it's better he manages the property. My jaw tightened. So he told you that? She nodded slowly. Mama. I'm sorry, I believed him for a few minutes. I touched her hand. You're my child. You wanted peace in your home. I understand. She looked up at me again. What will you do now? I exhaled. I'm giving him a chance to fix his mistake. If he tries anything else, then he will face the consequences. My daughter whispered, he won't stop. And deep inside, I knew she was right. I didn't have to wait long. The next morning, my lawyer called again. Your son-in-law tried to file a complaint claiming the second deed is fake. I closed my eyes. He did what? He said your signature looks too neat for someone your age, my lawyer answered dryly. I almost laughed. Almost. Did they believe him? I asked. No. They asked him to bring the original paperwork he claims to have. He couldn't provide anything. Of course not, I muttered. He only has the fake listing he made himself. My lawyer continued, he also tried to say the land should belong to your daughter by marriage rights. I went silent. The audacity was beyond anything I imagined. I'll prepare the counter papers, he said. Do you want to sue? I took a deep breath. Revenge was tempting. Too tempting. But rushing would give him fuel to twist the story. Not yet, I said again. Let him expose himself more. After the call, I stood by the window thinking about all the years I tried to welcome him, all the meals we shared, all the times he smiled at me. That smile now felt like a mask. And masks always fall off eventually. My daughter called me again in the evening. Her voice was shaky. Mama, he's angry. Very angry. Did he shout at you? I asked. Not shout, but he's blaming me. Saying I betrayed him by coming to you. My blood boiled. You didn't betray anyone. You told the truth. She sniffed. He said if you don't cancel the lawyer, he'll make the situation worse. I paused. Worse in what way? He said he'll go to your siblings and tell them you're trying to keep land away from the family. I let out a long, tired breath. Let him go. Mama, let him go, I repeated firmly. Anyone who believes him is not someone I need near me. There was silence. Then she whispered, I'm scared of what he will try next. Don't be, I said, though my own heart was uneasy. I'm watching everything. After I ended the call, I sat alone in my living room. I wasn't afraid of the man. But I was afraid of what he could do to my daughter's peace. Some battles weren't about land. They were about protecting the innocent from the greedy. On the fourth day, he made his biggest mistake yet. He came to my house again, this time with his friend, a man who looked like he spent most of his life scheming. They didn't knock. They barged. Mama, we need to settle this once and for all, he said loudly. His friend nodded. Let's talk money. Money. That was all it ever was. I remained seated. I have nothing to discuss with you. Leave my home. His friend smirked. We know about the second deed. It doesn't matter. The first deed is still in public record. I folded my arms. Incorrect. They exchanged nervous glances. What do you mean? My son-in-law asked. The first deed was voided years ago, I said calmly. Your listing was invalid the moment you posted it. His friend frowned. You're lying. I stood up. Slowly. Calmly. My husband and I updated all our land documents before he died. The old deed means nothing. The second deed is the only legal document. My son-in-law paled. His friend whispered, Bro, you didn't tell me that part. I walked to the door and opened it widely. Out. When they finally left, I locked the door and sat on the nearest chair, trembling slightly. Not from fear, no. From exhaustion. I had carried land issues, family issues, and emotional betrayal all in 1 week. Later that night, my daughter's message came in. Mama, what did he do now? I explained everything. She typed back slowly, I'm coming home. Less than an hour later, she was standing at my door with a small bag. He told me I'm either on his side or yours, she whispered. I chose you. I held her tightly, fighting tears. You're always welcome here. She took off her shoes and sat on my couch like she used to when she was little. Mama, he kept saying the land was his investment. That you owed him. I turned my head sharply. Owed? Yes. He said since he's your son-in-law, he deserves part of your property. I almost laughed. Marriage doesn't give him the right to claim my sweat. She nodded. I told him that. He got angry. Let him be angry, I said. It means he's losing control. The next morning, we went together to the lawyer's office. When we walked in, the lawyer smiled kindly. I've been expecting you. My daughter held my arm. Sir, what happens if he keeps pushing? If he tries anything further, the lawyer said, we can file for attempted fraud, property interference, and defamation. My daughter swallowed hard. That's serious. He crossed serious lines, the lawyer replied. I pulled out the second deed from my bag. Keep this safe. My lawyer took it gently. I'll store it in the secured file room. No one will touch it. My daughter let out a shaky breath. Mama, thank you for protecting us. I looked at her. I'm protecting you, not him. As we drove home, she kept glancing at me. Finally she said, Mama. I'm scared of the shame this will bring. I reached for her hand. Shame doesn't come from truth. It comes from lies. And the liar is not you. She leaned her head on the window, silent. Almost peaceful. For the first time, I felt like the storm was shifting in our favor. But storms don't end quietly. That evening, my phone started ringing nonstop. Messages poured in. Missed calls. Voice notes. All from extended family. When I finally answered one, my cousin shouted, "Why is your son-in-law going around saying you're trying to disown your daughter?" I closed my eyes. Because he's drowning. He said you hid land documents. And did he tell you why? Silence. I continued, ask him who tried to sell my land without permission. More silence. Then my cousin whispered, he didn't mention that part. Exactly. After that call, others followed, and each one ended the same way: shock, apology, support. By the fifth call, I felt lighter. My daughter sat beside me, listening. Mama, they're all turning against him. Because light exposes darkness, I said quietly. He expected me to stay silent. She nodded slowly. He thought you were weak. Yes, I breathed. He forgot who raised you. The next day, my son-in-law finally realized he had run out of lies. So he tried something else, begging. He came alone this time, eyes red, shoulders slumped. Mama, please. I made a mistake. I said nothing. He continued, voice cracking, I was trying to save us. I thought selling the land would help with our debts. My daughter stared at him in disbelief. Debts? What debts? He looked away. I borrowed money, a lot. I lost some in business. She gasped. And you wanted to cover that by selling my mother's land? He wiped his face. I didn't know what else to do. I spoke softly. You had every option except stealing. He dropped to his knees. Mama, please. Don't sue me. Don't ruin me. I looked at him long and hard. You ruined yourself. His tears didn't move me. Not this time. Not after all the lies. Not after the attempts to manipulate my child. Stand up, I said finally. You will hear my decision tomorrow. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked around my quiet house, thinking of everything, my late husband, the land, my daughter, and the man she married. By morning, I knew what to do. I called both of them to my home. They sat on the couch, far from each other. My daughter looked tired. He looked terrified. I stood before them. Here is my decision, I said. I will not sue you. He let out a shaky breath of relief. But, I continued, you will never touch my property again. Not a document. Not a fence. Not a piece of sand. He nodded quickly. Yes, Mama. I promise. You will also go to my lawyer and sign a legal restriction. It will be binding. His face fell. Legal? Is that necessary? I raised an eyebrow. After what you did? Very necessary. My daughter nodded firmly. I agree. He looked between us and finally lowered his head. I'll sign. But I wasn't done. Not yet. And after that, I added, you will tell your family and mine the full truth. Every detail. Publicly. His mouth fell open. What? You tried to shame me. Now you will clean the mess you made. He stared at me like I had spoken another language. Publicly? Mama, please. That will destroy my reputation. I folded my arms. Your reputation is already damaged. You're only choosing whether you fix it with truth or bury it with more lies. My daughter looked at him and said quietly, you almost destroyed my relationship with my mother. You owe her this. He sank back on the couch, defeated. Fine, he whispered. I'll do it. But his voice didn't sound honest. It sounded like someone agreeing because he had no choice. As he stood to leave, he muttered, this is too much. Too much? I repeated softly. Too much is trying to sell someone's property behind their back. He didn't respond. He walked out of my house slowly, shoulders slumped, like the weight of his actions had finally settled on him. My daughter burst into tears. Mama. I don't know what to do with him anymore. I pulled her close. One battle at a time, I said. Right now, the land is safe. You are safe. That's what matters. But even as I comforted her, I knew something inside her marriage had cracked beyond repair. 2 days later, we met at the lawyer's office for the signing. My son-in-law arrived dressed neatly, trying to look calm, but the sweat on his forehead betrayed him. My lawyer read the document slowly, clearly. This agreement states that you, as the son-in-law, have no legal claim, right, or authority over the land or any property belonging to your mother-in-law. Any future attempt to interfere will be considered intentional fraud. My son-in-law swallowed hard. Sir, must it sound so harsh? It must sound clear, the lawyer replied. My daughter sat beside me, silent but steady. When the papers were placed before him, my son-in-law hesitated. His hand shook as he held the pen. If I sign this, there is no going back. I leaned forward. Exactly. Finally, he signed. A signature that sealed his defeat. The lawyer made copies and stamped them. Now, I said, standing up, there is one more thing left. He already knew. His face went pale. No, not that. Yes, I said firmly. The truth. We drove together to my sister's house, where the extended family had gathered after hearing rumors. Everyone was waiting. My son-in-law looked like he wanted to disappear. My daughter walked in ahead of us, her head held high. When I entered, all eyes turned to me. My eldest cousin spoke first. So what is really going on? I gently pushed my son-in-law forward. He will explain. He looked at me once more, pleading silently, but I didn't look away. He cleared his throat. I tried to sell Mama's land without permission. A loud gasp filled the room. He continued, voice shaking, I went behind her back. I listed it online. I lied about paperwork. I even tried to challenge the deed. My sister stood up, shocked. Are you out of your mind? Shame colored his face. I thought it would help us financially. Another cousin snapped, so you thought stealing was the answer? He lowered his head. I was wrong. I stepped forward. And he will not touch anything of mine ever again. The room fell silent. And for the first time I felt the power shift back where it belonged. After the confession, my family surrounded me, apologizing for believing any rumors he had spread. My daughter stood quietly beside me, avoiding everyone's eyes. On the drive back home, she finally whispered, "Mama, thank you." I glanced at her. "For what?" "For making him take responsibility," she said. "For not letting him twist the story." I reached out and squeezed her hand. "I didn't do it to embarrass him. I did it so the truth stands on its feet." She nodded slowly. "Mama, I don't know if my marriage will survive this." I didn't answer. Some questions didn't need answers, they needed time. When we got home, she went straight to her old room and lay down, exhausted from emotions she didn't know how to carry. I stood at her door and watched her, remembering the little girl who once cried only when her toys broke. Now she cried for a breaking marriage. I closed the door softly and whispered, "Everything will fall into place, one way or another." A week passed. Quiet, but heavy. My son-in-law stayed away. My daughter stayed with me, helping around the house, cooking, cleaning, and trying to smile again. One morning, she approached me with her phone. "Mama, look at this." She showed me a message from him, "I'm sorry. I want to make things right. Please come home." My daughter sighed. "I don't know what to do." I guided her to sit. "Do you still love him?" She looked down. "I do, but I don't trust him anymore." I nodded. "Love can heal, but trust is harder." She leaned on my shoulder. "Mama, what would you do?" I thought for a moment. "I would listen. But I wouldn't rush." She exhaled softly. "Then I'll talk to him." She sent a short message back, "We can meet." But slowly. I watched her. She looked stronger than she did a week ago. Maybe pain was shaping her into someone wiser. Maybe this storm had purpose after all. They met at a quiet cafe near town. I didn't follow, but she told me everything later. When she arrived, he stood up immediately, eyes red. "I'm sorry," he said before she even sat down. I was desperate. I wasn't thinking straight. She asked him, "Why didn't you tell me about the debts?" He buried his face in his hands. I was ashamed. I didn't want to look like a failure. She told him gently, "You became a failure when you tried to drag my mother into your mess." He nodded, tears forming. "I know. I'm trying to fix everything now. I'll work, I'll pay back the loans, I'll rebuild your trust." She told me she stayed quiet for a long time before she finally said, "I need time." "And you need to change." He agreed. Whether he will change, only time will tell. But for the first time, he looked like a man who finally understood the weight of what he had done. A few days later, I went alone to the land. I stood in the middle of the field, feeling the breeze on my face. My husband and I had worked hard for this place. Every corner held a memory. Losing it would have felt like losing him all over again. As I walked, I whispered, "We protected it, my love. We protected what we built." I sat under the old mango tree and closed my eyes. Peace, real peace, settled over me. Not because the problem was gone, but because I had faced it without fear. I had defended what was mine. I had defended my daughter. And I had reminded a greedy man that strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply stands its ground. When I returned home, my daughter told me her husband wanted to come over and apologize properly. I agreed, but with caution. When he arrived, he stood at my door, not stepping in until I nodded. "Mama, I'm sorry for everything," he said. "I disrespected you. I lied. I almost broke this family." His voice shook, but there was something more honest this time, something humbled. I looked at him for a long moment. "Your apology is accepted," I said softly. "But trust must be rebuilt slowly." He nodded. "I understand. And let me be clear," I added, "if you ever try anything like this again, I will not hesitate to finish what I started." He lowered his head. "It will never happen again." Over the next few weeks, I watched him quietly. He began working more jobs, paying off debts, helping my daughter with chores, and showing a level of humility I had never seen in him. My daughter started smiling again, not because everything was perfect, but because she felt respected again. One evening, she came to me and said, "Mama, I think he's truly trying." I nodded. Trying is a start. She hugged me tightly. "Thank you for standing up for us. I don't know what would have happened if you didn't notice the land listing." I sighed. Your mother may grow old, but her eyes still work. Months later, life finally felt normal again. My daughter and her husband were slowly rebuilding their marriage. He still came to greet me respectfully, always careful, always aware of his boundaries. As for the land, it remained untouched, safe, just as my husband would have wanted. One afternoon, as I walked the field again, my daughter joined me. "Mama," she said softly, "I've learned something." I smiled. "What is it?" "That silence isn't weakness. You were calm through everything, but you were never weak." I looked at her, proud. "Strength doesn't always make noise," I said. "Sometimes it signs a second deed and waits." She laughed gently, linking her arm with mine. As we stood under the mango tree, watching the land stretch before us, I whispered to myself, he thought he could steal from me. He thought I wouldn't notice. But he never saw the second deed. And he never saw the strength behind it.